What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Dummy Wormy. I'm coming at you with another video, and today we're talking about Dragon Age the Veilguard, a game that is 100% dead, basically died out the gate, considering shortly after the release of the game, we ended up having EA come out here and openly admit that we're not doing a DLC for this game. This game's already dead. We're not even going to keep trying to actually shovel out content for it. We're moving on. End of discussion. A game that was so bad that everybody has basically come around and admitted that it's too woke. You even have articles from like The Gamer saying it's too woke. You have IGN admitting that it's a bad game. Everybody has basically accepted that this was an awful game. This was a bad outing for EA, and it's going to be a monumental failure. Everybody but God of War director David Jaffe, because he has a brilliant way to explain away everything. God of War director David Jaffe blames YouTube grifters for killing Dragon Age the Veilguard and compares transgenderism to being black. Now, when it comes to David Jaffe over here, he is by default a TM true believer of the woke ideology, and he thinks that YouTube individuals have all the power in the world and yet none of the power. It is people like me on the internet talking about Dragon Age the Veilguard that led Dragon Age the Veilguard to ruin and to destruction, and ultimately because we spoke, we talked about it, you guys didn't go out and buy it, which, I mean, partially true. You guys saw the news that said that, hey, we aren't going to participate in this. We're going to go someplace else, you know, with the marketing, with the way the game was going. You used your own brain and came up with your own decision. But he thinks that you are so stupid that me just showing you what's in the game, talking about what's coming in the game, talking about the marketing, things of that nature, that I'm the one that made it so that you wouldn't buy the game, that I killed the game. Yeah, no, I barely even talked about the game. I thought the game was insignificant and I needed to wait till more information came out before I talked it, but apparently YouTube grifters have all the power. Well, he said all this in a recent live stream interview clip thing, and this is a 7-minute, 22-second clip from his stream, and he only really talks about Dragon Age the Veilguard within the first 2 minutes or so of this little clip, and we'll play this, and I have it on 1.25 speed right now because he talks randomly, but he makes a lot of points in here that don't really make logical sense if you actually sit down and think about it. But don't listen to me. Why don't we listen to David Jaffe?
Gaming community ruined this game's success. I mean, you know, I don't think that's entirely fair, but I think there is a lot of truth to it. If you're EA, you've got to kind of prepare for the market winds that you're sailing into and all that. And so they should have been prepared to counter, and they weren't. Really, at this point.
Okay, they should have been prepared to counter, but they weren't. They didn't want to counter because everything we were pointing out with the game, they liked. Everything that was coming with the game, they liked. It was all your ideology. When we brought up, you know, the top scars and people were pushing back on it, you sided with them and saying, what's the big deal? It's a fantasy game. You can do whatever you want. It's create your own adventures. This is representations. You accepted it. That's not saying that they didn't push back. They didn't have a different narrative. They said, no, that's what we want. Everything we're showing right now is what we want. You can't blame this on EA's inability to push back because, no, they pushed back. You have all the institutionalized power. They pushed back. You assisted with it.
Point, all that gaming community that you're talking about has done is they've made it so they've actually made games worse, which is what they say they're trying to not do. Because
How have we made games worse? Oh, watch his explanation.
They have the charismatic grifters that make the videos that for whatever reason people respond to. People who haven't actually played this game will hate it just because they're sort of told to hate it. And so what does EA do next time? They don't make Stellar Blade. They just continue to sort of, you know, vanilla the fuck out of everything they work on and make sure that no one's going to have anything to complain about.
Because the charismatic grifters who tell you to hate the game because you're never going to play the game, so you're just going to listen to them because you're too stupid to actually think for yourself, because they told you not to hate the game. You hated the game. You're not going to buy the game, so now they're not going to make Stellar Blade, even though they would never actually make Stellar Blade. It took a Korean company to actually make Stellar Blade. EA will never make a Stellar Blade game, mainly due to the modern day politics that are within this company, mainly from California, that David Jaffe also subscribes to, by the way. So no, they would either just double down or they'll make the vanilla game. If they make the vanilla game, guess what? It might be a little bit boring, but it won't have your gosh darn ideology shoved all in it. And people would actually be maybe a little bit more happy. There could be a decent discussion around it. But no, right now we have all your ideology shoved into it. And I want you to remember what he says here, because he says something very interesting at the end of this whole segment. Remember, nobody played the game, guys. You all made up your own decision because you didn't play the game and nobody played the game.
They straight up ask you if you want transgender game options 1 hour in. You select yes or no. So all the people bitching invited into their game. I don't even know what it asks.
It shouldn't actually be in the game. So there's that. But, oh, his next comments are insane.
But this character apparently is the Barv trans character, and so far there's nothing, not that that needs to be, I mean, to me that's the equivalent of saying, do you want black people? Do you want black people in your game? We have a button that'll get the blacks out. That's the equivalent of it. But if that's what you're saying, I mean, I didn't even know that's what they were asking. The only thing.
Okay, real quick, his whole transgender argument is nonsense. David Jaffe is a nonsensical dude. I'm letting him say this all for you to understand, like, this is coming from his mouth, not just the Fandom Pulse article. This is actually what he said. It's insane. Fandom Pulse transcribed everything that he said. I want you to listen from his own mouth, because I can't figure out what the heck he's saying there. If you don't want transgender people in your game, that means you don't want black people in your game. No. What people don't want is an adherence to an ideology that doesn't make logical sense within a fantasy game. You know, you're playing as a trans character, for example. Again, we'll go to the top scars argument. Why is there top scars in a fantasy game where you get to make your own character? That doesn't logically make sense. You could say, well, it's for representation. But if you are a trans person, male thinking that you're a female, wouldn't you just play as a female character? If you're a female thinking you're a dude, wouldn't you just play as a dude? See, when you throw these little bits of logic into there, they start going like, oh, yeah, but these people are narcissists. These people are insane. And David Jaffe is a perfect example. And when it comes to trans arguments, David Jaffe is 100% a coward and usually relies on bad faith arguments and emotional tactics and trying to tie it into not wanting black people in it, when no, people just don't want to be inundated with this ideology all day and night. There's ways to do this that make logical sense, but you don't choose to do it. You just choose to take, you know, a bat and hammer somebody upside the head with it the entire time.
Thing I've come across so far, and again, I've seen that cutscene, it's terribly written and performed, the Barv thing, but the only thing I've even come across so.
Wait. So if people are pointing out the Barv scene, okay, if people are pointing that out and saying this is an example of how bad this game is, this is an example of what's in this game, and you are yourself saying that's a bad scene, terribly acted, terribly written, it's a bad scene. Wouldn't you think it's perfectly fine then for people to say, you know what, I don't want to be a part of this game? If you're saying it's a bad scene, isn't it fine for people to not want to be a part of that scene, not want to be a part of the game? Is that okay? No, because logically, again, you're too stupid to make up your own decision. He saw the scene, said it was a bad scene. You saw the scene and said it was a bad scene. But you're too stupid. You don't realize it's a bad scene. You had to have somebody else tell you it's a bad scene. You see the problem with his logic here? Nothing makes sense. It all relies on you just being the stupid person that can't think for yourself.
So far is when you're talking to characters, and one of your multiple options is you can romance a character who is the same sex as your character. And you can just be like, oh, no thanks. You're like Chad in SNL. It's like, no thanks. And, you know, if that's not what.
Well, part of the OSA problem is you can romance anybody and it doesn't really take a whole lot of effort. So there's that.
What you're into. The grifters who hate woke still streamed the game and played it to finish grifting how bad the game was. So yeah, they didn't like it, but played it for views and ad revenue equals grift. Yeah. Avowed.
Wait a minute. So the grifters that didn't like it still streamed the game for their audience to see it, for their audience to watch it, for views and money. Okay, so the grifters that hated it still streamed the game and played the game to show the world what it is. Wait. But if we come back here to, we'll go back to the 30-second mark.
Trying to not do, because they have the charismatic grifters that make the videos that for whatever reason people respond to. People who haven't actually played a game, like played this game, will hate it.
Wait, but if we go back to, again, right around here, you just said that nobody's ever going to play this game. Nobody, all the charismatic grifters who didn't play the game are telling you it's a bad game, so they don't buy the game. But then later on you say,
to. The grifters who hate woke still streamed the game and played it to finish grifting how bad the game was. So yeah, they didn't like it.
But I thought they didn't play the game. I thought they didn't play the game, David Jaffe. I thought all the charismatic grifters didn't play the game and that you were too stupid and couldn't come up with your own thought process to buy the game yourself or make your own decisions. But there you're saying they played the game. The grifters played the game for people to watch, and then people made up their own mind. You're seeing the logical disconnect here, David? You're seeing the issues? No, because David is bad faith. Any argument he ever gets into, he always goes emotional, he goes bad faith. David Jaffe can't actually think. Okay, that's the bottom line in all this. David Jaffe has no logical argument, because when you actually start, showing the logical inconsistencies with his argument, he'll go to statements like people that don't want trans people in their games don't consider them like black people. They don't like black people. They don't want this. They don't want that. And even though when you're sitting there watching him talk, listening to his own words, your brain's fried because he doesn't have a cohesive argument. He doesn't have a cohesive statement. Bringing this up now, grifters are the reason this game failed, not the game itself. Even though one of the scenes people were showing to say that this is a bad game, you yourself even agree with is a bad scene. So maybe, just maybe, considering, again, IGN has agreed with it, considering Gamer has agreed, considering you have Moon Studios CEO saying that it's infantile and terrible. You have unhappy customers demanding refunds. And again, you had BioWare themselves just a day or two after the game release say there's no DLC for the game. Everybody's admitted it's a bad game. Maybe, just maybe, David, the game was bad and it failed on its own merits because of the own ideology that gets shoved in there, and that is the center point of the game, instead of the whole purpose of making a game is to make a good game. Maybe that's the reason the game failed, is the over-focus on ideology over an actual good game. You ever think of that? But no, he can't think of that, because again, he thinks you, the audience, you, the customer, you, the person watching the video right now, are too stupid to come up with your own opinion. I'm going to leave it there. Let me get your guys' thoughts on all this down in the comments below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it up, friends, hit the subscribe button, and hit that notification bell for every time I put out a new video live, guys. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.